Breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this video is going to exist is because I am already painstakingly aware that there are theory videos out there and people who believe that Marshall D. Teach, or Blackbeard, is the long-lost son of Rox D. Xebec. But I am hesitant to believe it just because we have seen that exact same scenario play out already, with Ace being the long-lost son of Gold D. Rogers. So I don't believe in all of Oda's writing prowess that he would repeat the exact same scenario twice in his series, especially for something as big as the main antagonist of this series. I don't see that happen. In this video, this is a scripted video, so we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of this. But before we get into that, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know you're rocking with the content that I put out here on this channel. I spent a lot of time on this video, but without further ado, let's get into this review. Now, in order for the current Blackbeard to be the OG Rox D. Xebec from back in the day, it's going to involve the use of one extremely powerful devil fruit. But before we get into that, it's extremely important that I explain to everyone still watching the video just how Xebec not only survived the battle on God Valley, but also transformed into the Yonko that we now know as Black. So I take you back 38 years and begin to dig up the unspoken history that revolves around the Rox pirates. Now, this next part of the argument is going to be speculation because we simply do not know how the Battle of God Valley played out, and the people who can potentially tell us either one, don't talk about it, or they're dead currently. And I believe that is for a very specific reason. Now, on that infamous day in which Xebec led the Rox Pirate to God Valley to take on Gold D. Rogers, the Roger Pirates, and Monkey D. Garp, the two strongest crews in the entire One Piece world, duking it out on the Celestial Dragon's home island. Why that island specifically, and how convenient of it that Garp and Rogers just happened to be at God Valley the same day that Xebec was going to attack, is astronomical. See, I believe what transpired on God Valley was a premeditated response to Xebec, and I believe that before the attack, Xebec was having a deteriorating mental health and potentially going insane. Once they arrived at God Valley and the chaos began to ensue, I believe that the remaining rock pirates performed one of the oldest known pirate acts in the world today. Mutiny. Alright? I speculate that Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, Silver Axe, Captain John, and potentially Wang Ji within the chaos took the Rox pirate ship and left God Valley and the crazy ass Captain Xebec there to fight Rogers, his crew, and Garp all by his lonely. Let me back up. Maybe not by himself, but the fact that he would be missing 7 of his most ferocious fighters, I believe it would have crippled him to such a degree that spelled defeat for him and cost him his life. This would also give explanation as to why Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard never talk about their time as a Rox pirate or even mention the fact that they were a part of the crew itself. It's shame for a pirate to not only run away from a fight, but abandoning their captain and leaving him for dead after plotting to kill him. It's deplorable. I believe something along the lines of, we will never speak about what happened today, and the next time we see each other we are enemies, was communicated amongst Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki the Lion, Silver Axe, Captain John, and Wang Ji. It's also entirely possible that the events that transpired on God Valley is what led to Kaido owing a lifelong debt to Big Mom. But Hyuga, how did Xebec manage to survive a battle that rewrote history? Well, for this on-the-fly plan to succeed, it will involve one particular devil fruit, 2 noble sacrifices, chaos, and a loyal crew member. After that, it's a waiting game. So what actually happened? Let me begin with the most important factor in his escape and survival, which would be the devil fruit. But not Xebec's devil fruit, assuming he had one to begin with, but the devil fruit of his most loyal crew member. The devil fruit I'm referring to is none other than the Ape Ape no Mi. Okay? The Ape Ape no Mi is a paramecia type devil fruit that allows its user to create a spherical space or room in which the user has complete control over the placement and orientation of the objects inside, making the user a free modification human. That is going to be incredibly important and viable for this theory to go off without a hitch. In addition, we know that from the flashbacks that we saw with Beryl, there was a legendary pirate was once in possession of this devil fruit. Also, this is currently the only devil fruit that we know of with a price tag from the government sitting at 5 billion berries. How is it that a devil fruit has a price tag higher than 2 current Yonko's bounties? This devil fruit's bounty is higher than Shanks and Blackbeard's currently where they are right now in the Wano story arc. Alright? And one more fact about the devil fruit is that it is also called the ultimate devil fruit. Now, when I was doing research for the devil fruit, I was absolutely astonished by how broken this devil fruit was. If you don't believe me, then go look for yourself. The Api Api no Mi and read all the different abilities that this devil fruit has that have absolutely nothing to do with any surgical implications at all. But it does have some surgical implications. But aside from the surgical aspect of this devil fruit, Law has the ability of telekinesis, telepathy, and teleportation. I speculate that after the mutiny occurred, Xebec would have been mortally wounded and in dire need of medical attention. This is where his most loyal crew member and probably the first mate of his pirate crew and probably the medic of his pirate crew, considering the fact that this legendary pirate would have had the Api Api no Mi in his possession. And we know that in order to bring out the full potential of this devil fruit, it's best if in the hands of a doctor or a surgeon. It's been stated within the series when we were first introduced to Law. But Hyuga, how would the doctor have gotten Xebec through all of the chaos? The doctor would have simply have used the devil fruit's room ability, and once the room ability had been activated, he could easily teleport him and Xebec away to a safer area, considering that they are on God Valley with the Celestial Dragons on their home island. You can speculate that this is where Marie Joie used to stand before they moved it on top of the Red Line. If you factor in the giant mansion Pangea, Xebec and his doctor would have had a plethora of places to hide once inside of the building, and they would have had nothing but time in order to get the next part of this plan underway. But something struck me as odd as I was doing research for this video. And what struck me as odd is when Sengoku was talking about the battle that day, he emphasized that Garp and Rogers had to protect not just the Celestial Dragons, but also their slaves that day. And that got me thinking about maybe he wasn't teleported into Pangea, the main house, but he was teleported into the slaves' chamber. Just referencing history and from what we know about the history and slaves, at least within Western culture and American culture, generally speaking, slaves and owners lived separately. They would be on the same plantation, but you would have the owners living in the main house and then the slaves living completely separate in their own slaves' chamber. Also, when you have a male owner of a female slave, I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. Put 2 and 2 together, but let's move on with this whole entire theory. So, with Xebec and his doctor safely transported into the slave's chamber, safe being a relative term because I'm assuming because of the sheer scale of this battle, having the top 2 pirate crews in the entire world duking it out, the island would have been shook to its absolute core. Probably on fire. It definitely would have been sinking because just Whitebeard alone, you see what I'm saying? Like, in his old age, he was almost able to sink Marineford. Like, they had Sengoku was genuinely concerned that Whitebeard is going to sink Marineford into the sea. We cannot allow Marineford to fall. Stop him with everything you got. Now, that's old heart attack on his last leg Whitebeard. We're talking about prime Whitebeard and prime Kaido the dragon and prime Big Mom. You know what I'm saying? So, and we don't even know what Xebec had at his disposal. It would have been much easier for just prime Whitebeard to sink an island. So I can only imagine how destroyed God Valley would have been with everything clashing on this one island at the same time. And that's just the Rock Pirates. God know what Rogers had thumping with the Roger Pirates. You see what I'm saying? This island would have been in sheer pandemonium at this battle and definitely actively sinking into the ocean. But for the sake of this argument, they are relatively safe where they are in the slaves' chambers. Once inside, I speculate how I'm playing this theory out in my head. There lies a female slave. She probably died from maybe falling debris or something of that nature, but there lies a female slave and her 2-year-old baby son, knowing his life is coming to an end and he is desperate to live because he still hasn't fulfilled his goal of taking over the world and becoming the Pirate King. He orders his doctor, the possessor of the Api Api no Mi Devil Fruit, to prepare for the infamous immortality operation. A surgery that would grant whoever receives the operation eternal life. Ladies and gentlemen, as you see here, it states, the greatest power of this fruit, which has earned its reputation for being the ultimate devil fruit, is the ability to grant another person eternal youth via the perennial youth operation, the perpetual youth surgery, or the immortality operation, depending on what translation you're looking at. Though performing this feat comes at the cost of the current fruit's user's life. Doflamingo sought out this fruit in order to trick Law into performing it on him so that he could conquer the world and possibly rule over it forever. I speculate before the actual surgery took place. Because of the child's age, the doctor first performed a technique that we have only seen occur once throughout the entirety of the storyline, and that would be the personality transplant surgery. I take you back to Punk Hazard when Law swapped Smoker and Tashigi's soul with each other. He also swapped Nami's, Sanji's, Frankie's, and Chopper's personalities all with one another as well. But Hyuga, the soul doesn't have a physical form. How could he swap someone's soul with someone else's? From what I could find, it states this. During his confrontation against the Straw Hat Pirates, Law showed that he could use shambles to swap non-physical items such as souls, effectively putting one person in another one's body. Though before he can do that, he needs to do a thrusting motion at each person to bring their hearts out. Although if the hearts are already not in the original body, he simply needs to make a gesture with the thrusting motion. In the case of Shishigi, switching hearts made her lose consciousness. He later used this attack to bring Frankie and Tony Chopper back to the original bodies. This technique was named by Doflamingo in the Viz manga. This is called the personality switching surgery. What you need to take from that is that everything involves the hearts, okay? It also states, there's another part 2 of it, it says, apparently after switching people's souls, only the user himself can reverse it, but the recipient's body must be present in order for him to restore them back to the original bodies. Law has been shown to be able to take advantage of this aspect of his devil fruit by modifying people's bodies in order to force them to return to him so that he can undo the modification he caused in the first place. In the case of switching souls, devil fruit powers are maintained within the original physical body, while voices and other abilities such as Haki go along with the switched soul. This was demonstrated by Sanji using his Kenboshu Haki in Nami's body due to Haki originating from the individual's spirit. Boom. What does that mean in correlation to this theory that Blackbeard is Xebec? This means that if the personality transplant surgery was performed on this 2-year-old baby, the doctor would have swapped out Xebec's heart for the 2-year-old's heart. The process could never be reversed due to the fact that Xebec's physical body is technically dead, while Xebec's mind, memory, Haki, and all of his knowledge was transferred onto this baby. Now, this is a huge theory, okay? Because essentially what you're having is, have you seen the movie Boss Baby? Where the baby has to put on a front like it's a normal baby, but when all the parents go away, it turns into this free-thinking, upright walking, brilliant mind that is running this secret operation of hidden ninja babies. I'm sure you have all seen the movie Boss Baby. Literally, that's what I believe would have happened. And like I said, with the doctor not being alive anymore to reverse the surgery, there's nothing that that baby could have done, and I'm sure the body was lost to sea. I'm talking about Xebec's body, original body. But anyway, after he performed the personality and soul change operation, there would have been no way to reverse the souls back to the original bodies. I believe that the personality transplant surgery had to be performed first because of how young the child was. Keep in mind, the slave child would have been 2 years old, and Xebec would still have wanted to retain the knowledge of the world to remain intact and not lost. Once the surgery finished and his heart was inside the child, the doctor commenced with the immortality surgery. And I want to pause the theory discussion for 1 second and talk about a quick counter argument that I feel people are going to try to make in the comment section about the argument about what I've just stated. But Hyuga, who in their right mind would sacrifice themselves for another person, especially someone like Xebec? And you guys, I've mentioned it before. I'm sure even somebody like Xebec had at least one loyal crew member. I know it was a dog-eat-dog world on the crew, and it's been stated multiple times that killing people on the Rocks pirate ship was like almost encouraged, but I'm sure Xebec had at least one loyal crew member. And actually, if you read up on the Ape Ape no Mi, one of the major weaknesses of the fruit is that if you overuse its ability, it starts to shorten your lifespan of the user himself. It states right here, boom, right here. A major weakness of this fruit is that usage of the fruit's ability depletes the user's stamina. Overusage and exerting to the range limit can even result in shortening of the lifespan. And the usage of the perennial youth operation in particular will cost the user his or her life automatically. So, it's very possible that the doctor of the Rocks Pirates didn't have much longer to live naturally and was already dying, and with no way out, gave his life for his captain in order for him to fulfill his vision. And it's not like we've ever seen the first mate of a pirate crew prepare to give his life for his captain. What could I have been thinking? I think one of the biggest factors is that this theory is somewhat already in the works throughout the One Piece story, particularly back at Marineford with Marco. Alright, now this has been brought up in other videos, but I want to tie that into the theory that I'm just given. The fact that the One Piece story confirms that Blackbeard's body is not normal further validates that Blackbeard has underwent some sort of operation to his physical body at some point of time that Marco is unaware of. Okay? As a medic, I'm sure Marco would have had to have patched up Blackbeard numerous of times due to the possible battles with other Yonko's crew that the Whitebeard pirates would have had to go under. Marco remarks that Teach's body is odd physically, and that's probably the reason he is able to possess 2 devil fruits, and who knows, maybe more. It's not uncommon, and I want to make this, random fact, but it's not really a random fact, it's kind of like an aha fact. Within the animal kingdom, it's not uncommon for animals to possess multiple of the same organs. You have creatures that can possess multiple hearts, such as the starfish, or an octopus, or even squids. Squids have 3 hearts. You have animals that possess multiple stomachs, most notably a cow, or sheep, or goats, or buffalo, or deers, right? It's not uncommon for animals to possess multiple organs, okay? So it's kind of tricky when you're talking about situations like these because we still don't know where devil fruits go when they are consumed or how your body knows when you have consumed more than one devil fruit. You assume that you eat it, it's somewhere in your stomach, and, you know, following normal digestive patterns, you would excrete it at some point. But there's something about a devil fruit, it goes somewhere when it is consumed and stays in your body, kind of like it's registered to your body in and of itself. We know that it can't technically be your heart due to the fact that once you swap hearts with the personality switch, your devil fruit doesn't go with that heart. But that's up for another video. That's up for different speculation. That's not really what I want to focus on here. Now, I have mentioned it multiple times, and this is the last part of my argument, but I've mentioned multiple times, but Garp was there to protect celestial dragons and their slaves, including slave babies. With the mother being killed and out of the way, the only person remaining would have been the slave baby and the newly reborn Xebec within the body of that 2-year-old child. The Marines would have scooped up the slave baby, because they're there to protect the slaves, including all of the slaves, and brought it safely onto their ship, without ever knowing it was Xebec the entire time. Now, because of the fact that this 2-year-old would have been a slave child, I'm sure that none of the celestial dragons would have claimed it as their own. So what did Garp do with this slave child? He would have simply have dropped them off on some random island at the nearby orphanage. You see what I'm saying? And he would have been forced to grow up an orphan, much like how we saw young Blackbeard in the flashbacks. And even how Blackbeard went about joining Whitebeard's crew, it was like he was waiting specifically for Whitebeard because he knew Whitebeard. It's entirely possible that Xebec knew, hey, Whitebeard is insanely strong. He's probably one of the strongest crew members I have on this ship, but he's also very sensitive and he's very nice. I know if I run into Whitebeard in this newly developed child's body, then I will be able to join his crew. He will take me on board his ship. And it was almost like clockwork. I want to join your ship. Let me come with you. And Whitebeard was like, okay, come on board. It was that simple. It was that simple. Whitebeard didn't test him to see if the young Blackbeard was a good fighter or if he had a devil fruit or if he knew hockey. He was just like, sure, come on board. I don't care. So he takes on just, it seems, almost anybody onto his crew because he really wants to have a family. That's something he wants to love and cherish. I want to make this last distinction that Shanks was genuinely concerned for Ace. That so much, in fact, that Yonko, Shanks, went on board Whitebeard's ship and said, you need to call Ace back. You do not want to mess with Blackbeard. He then went on to explain his scar, and he said, I got the scar on my face from Blackbeard, but I did not obtain the scar from being careless or being reckless. What does that tell you? That tells you that Blackbeard legitimately, one-on-one against Shanks, got a clean hit off on him. That's insane. This is Blackbeard before the Yami Yami no Mi. Okay, which means he didn't have a devil fruit at this time. This is base level, only hockey Blackbeard. But then again, this goes back to what I said earlier about the personality transplant surgery. Sanji was able to use hockey within Nami's body because hockey is in relation to the user's spirit. When you transplant the soul of somebody into another person with the use of the Api Api no Mi, hockey also transfers. Okay, so you have a Xebec level of hockey, because Sengoku stated that the Rocks Pirate were the strongest crew at that time. So you have Xebec levels of hockey with Blackbeard currently, meaning he gave Shanks a run for his money. Now that's kind of deceiving because I remember at the end of Marineford, Blackbeard was like, I'm not ready to take you on yet, Shanks. And that might have been because, not because of one-on-one, I would assume that it would have more to do with the Red Hair Shank Pirates crew versus the Blackbeard Pirates crew. Blackbeard's crew would not have survived a full-on assault from the Red Hair Shank Pirates just out of sheer numbers and volume. You understand what I'm saying? It was a numbers game at that time. I think fleet versus fleet, Blackbeard would take on Shanks and handle him fairly well. Not saying it would be a slaughter, but it would be a fairly even fight. And then, of course, you have the minor correlations with Blackbeard's ship being called the Saber of Xebec. You just really, really never know what you're going to get. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the information, that is all the evidence I have, all the speculation, all the theorization that I can give you for this video in my discussion of Marshall D. Teach being Rox D. Xebec. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, whether or not you think Huga, you are absolutely insane. Everything you said makes absolutely no sense. There's no way that Marshall D. Teach can literally be Rox D. Xebec. Nothing you said makes sense. Or whether or not you believe, Huga, you may be onto something. It does make sense. And honestly, if you want to think about it, I should have mentioned this earlier, but when it comes to devil fruits, out of all the 100+ devil fruits that we know of within the One Piece universe, we know the absolute most about the Api Api no Mi. We don't even know this much about the Gumu Gumu no Mi, and that was consumed by the actual main protagonist of the entire series. We know the most about the Api Api no Mi with what it can do currently, and it's the only devil fruit with a backstory. That has to mean something. Oda would not be focusing this hard on the Api Api no Mi if it wasn't going to have relevance later on in the series. Also, what I mentioned regarding how it depletes the user's lifespan if overused, Law might die in Wano. That's entirely possible. Just off of his lifespan. You know what I mean? Like, how many years did he lose fighting against Doflamingo? Come on now. But comment down below what you believe. Share the video. Tag your favorite One Piece YouTubers. I'd love for them to make a response video or comment what they feel like this isn't telling. I've seen other Blackbeard theory videos, but I've never really seen it taken from this angle. Share the video, like the video, rate the video, all that fancy stuff. And like always, keep it safe and Rapid Tight. I'm out.
Sit rep. Hostile care package aboard. Enemy UAV. Hostiles